Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee. What's interesting about Stokely Carmichael is that when you think about 1964, Freedom Summer, where 3 civil rights workers are killed, Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman, Carmichael is one of the key organizers of Freedom Summer. By 1965, he attempts to organize an all-black political party. It's really an open party, but only blacks join it, in Lowndes County, Alabama. The nickname of this party is the Black Panther Party. And that same party is going to inspire Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale to form the Black Panther Party for self-defense in Oakland, California. When we think about the Black Panther Party, the Black Panthers are really the most controversial group of the 1960s. What's interesting for us about the Black Panthers is that the Panthers are really like surrealist painters trying to will a world that they're imagining into being. They're going to do this through bravado and a pragmatic 10-point plan that attempts to talk about full employment, talk about education, end police brutality, and it ends in a rhetorical flourish of land, peace, bread, and justice. When we think about the Black Panther Party for self-defense, they attempt to institute community organizing by at first trying to patrol police officers. Excuse me. You might say, well, why are they trying to patrol the police? Well, they're trying to patrol the police because in their West Oakland neighborhood, black people experience police brutality at endemic levels. So what Huey Newton discovers is that you can actually have the police under surveillance while they're arresting someone as long as you stand a reasonable distance away. You can also do it while being armed. Panthers are going to arm themselves, leather jackets, black berets, shades, and they're going to be patrolling with the police in 1966 and 1967 in Oakland, California. Locally, this is going to spark huge controversy. By 1967, it's going to become a national story when the Panthers send 30 members to the Sacramento State Capitol to protest against an impending gun bill. Excuse me again. When we think about the Panthers as a political organization, what did they accomplish? Well, between 1966 and 1982, which is the time period that the Panthers existed, what we're going to see the Panthers do is really evolve from a local organization to a national organization that receives tremendous support from a multiracial group of radicals, from the New Left, from Puerto Rican radicals who are part of the Young Lords, from Mexican Americans who are part of the Chicano movement, even from second wave black and white feminists, even though they rightfully deplore the misogyny of the Panthers. By the early 1970s, the Panthers are a local group that become power brokers in Oakland and actually even engage in a robust campaign for mayor and the city council. The legacy of the Panthers, is very important to the discussion that we're having. When we think about the legacy of the BPP and really the larger legacy of the Black Power movement, the legacy is in the community survival programs, the free breakfast programs, the lunch programs, and health clinics. When we think about this larger Black Power movement in terms of what did it accomplish, well, I want to speak on a number of levels. At the level of education, we see the rise of Black Studies programs and the transformation of the curriculum. At the level of culture, we see that Negroes and colored people become blacks and African Americans. At the level of politics, we see that Black Power provides a context for the first urban black political machines in places like Detroit and Newark and others. So in closing, I'll say that when we think about the Black Power movement, in a pre-multicultural age where race shaped hope, opportunity, and identity, it's Black Power that provided activists of all stripes with new words to imagine new worlds. Thank you.
the Dean of Arts and Sciences, the Department of Political Science, and the Department of Philosophy for sponsoring this program. I also would like to recognize our president, Dr. John Miller, for attending. And I'd like to introduce our respondents, Dr. Felton Best, who's the director of the African American Studies program, and Dr. Catherine Harris is out there somewhere. She will appear as she sees fit. As we begin the interaction, a couple of things, following the theme of the Black Power movement and the vehicle to expanding American democracy. There's another point of importance in terms of the experiences coming out of the movements, especially during the 1960s, that's relevant to this post-9/11 era. And certainly it's that the penetration of the federal government and COINTELPRO and the establishment of domestic surveillance systems that continue to this day, as even one of the architects found himself caught this week. And of course, I'm talking in terms of the changes due to 9/11 and the banking system that in fact tripped up one of the very proponents, former Governor Spitzer in New York. But the point is that out of the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, you began to see this transformation of American democracy and the question of civil rights in terms of the line of demarcation between civil rights intrusions on the part of the government and surveillance. And we see this continuing controversy in American politics today, certainly after 9/11. Another point that I'd like to emphasize has to do with Garvey, because Garvey arrived in the United States, in fact, as he came to meet with Booker T. Washington, who had his own certainly role in Black Power as conceived of as being self-determination and economic empowerment. And so in entitling this particular lecture, I went from the Black Power movement to Black Power movements, because as you painted the picture, we see a lot of threads kind of interweaving from a lot of different directions and culminating in this process that we call a movement. But in fact, it was a lot of different movements, and those movements perhaps continue today. I'd like to turn over the discussion to Dr. Best and Dr. Harris, and they can make comments, and then we'll begin our interaction.
Thank you very much. I want to first of all just start by thanking Dr. Walton Brown about sabbatical this semester. Has been pivotal in organizing this lecture and many of our other activities for this semester. And also, I want to underline what Dr. Walton said. We're happy to have our president and also our focus here, but also our dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, who's been very supportive of our interdisciplinary studies program, Dr. Susan Peace. Let's applaud her. We're certainly very happy to have Dr. Phil Joseph here. He clearly has written a prolific study of the Black Power movement, and I think his book is very inviting. Next year he's going to be at Harvard, which really speaks to the fact of his rising big splash historical significance.